Let's now get to the offense. Considering the history of this passing offense, which is as good as any in college football at its peak under Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher, and most recently Jordan Travis running the controls a couple seasons ago, man, it was ugly and awful last year by anybody's standards. And now we got Thomas Castellanos stepping in from Boston College, and I got to think that the response was kind of mixed because he certainly gave an undefeated Florida State team fits 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's done some good things at Boston College, but not necessarily the elite quarterback that a lot of people would want.
Mm-mm. Well, I think to the fan base, you look and like you mentioned Jordan Travis there, it reminds you so much of what a dual threat QB can be and is needed, because it was needed with Jordan Travis because you couldn't find any kind of success at the offensive line. There needed to be so much like Houdini movement that Travis had to pull off in order to keep that season going in so many different ways. Just looking back at film now, it's just crazy how talented Jordan Travis was, just saving the day, it felt like. And that's something that you feel like potentially you could be doing moving forward with Thomas Castellanos coming from Boston College. He, last year, Bill O'Brien, some things, seems like they did not really come to the same agreement on how that offense was going to be ran up there at Chestnut Hill. It wasn't going to fit pro-style quarterback for a guy like here that is more of a threat with his legs. You want to put him on some rollouts. You want to be able to utilize him in the run game because he is almost like another running back for you. He's got great vision with those running skills. But then, too, look at the passing game, and, Florida State has loaded up for him. I think has loaded up might be an understatement for the most part, because Florida State put in a lot of work to its tight end room as well, bringing in Randy Pittman that we'll talk about in the tight end room, but loaded up there also to a Marquiston Douglas. They've got some younger talent too, and in their own roster that they had previously that they're hoping to develop, like Landon Thomas and such. So they were able to grab some guys there that could be targets for Thomas Castellanos, but also too on the outside with Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White. They want to get try to get that ball down the field, and that's something that I'm going to be a little bit questionable on, and how well he is able to take those shots. When you have a guy like Deuce Robinson with his size, though, that certainly benefits you. Squirrel White is a guy that you're going to be able to take some good shots from. He's a slot receiver as well. Hakeem Williams. There's some guys that, Thomas Castellanos would be able to get the ball to, but this offense is going to be certainly predicated off of the run game, and that's something Gus Malzahn, as we know, is going to do. And I just think, for the most part, to me this spring, I'd like to see some chemistry built with this offensive line and Castellanos. I want to see good communication and just to try to find some kind of rhythm, because that's something that DJ just really couldn't find. The leadership part and being a vocal leader, I think, is going to be a different change as well, because DJ was not that, the complete opposite of it. Introvert. This guy coming in now as an extrovert. We've heard really good things about him since arrival, becoming a really nice leader, very hands-on with guys as well. And I think that's going to be a good change, but it's all going to come down, I think, to Castellanos, this offensive line, and how they can get this run game going to help open up the passing attack for Castellanos.
This dude ran for over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. And we know from Gus Malzahn's stay at Auburn in particular with Nick Marshall, he doesn't mind a quarterback running for 1,000 yards.
Yeah. I was going to say, Nick Marshall, we all know him from the season that Auburn had in 2013 and, almost won a national championship against Florida State. So, we'll talk about it here when we get to the running back room, but that's going to be something that we're going to be eyeing very closely, because usually he has one running back that is your bell cow, one that takes up a lot of the carries and gets your yards, gets your touchdowns. But there's a handful of running backs that Florida State has in its stable that is going to be very interesting to see how things work. And I'm going to be shocked, too, to see some guys transfer after the spring, just whenever the dominoes start to fall and you start fitting in on who your first and second and, third team guys are.
Logan, does Brock Glenn or anybody else have a shot at pushing Castellanos?
I think Brock will. He's been given a lot of praise this offseason. It was kind of not much of a surprise, I wouldn't say, that he stays another season, but I think it goes to show some respect, at least from my end, where he can learn and learn more behind Castellanos in a little bit of a way. Yes, Castellanos, yes, he's had that one season that really blew up for him and was something that was successful. Of course, yes, Castellanos came in and beat Florida State, but that was an awful team last year that Florida State put out on the field. Brock Glenn is someone that I hope can push Castellanos, just because I think it's always great to have a solid little bit of a quarterback competition. This last year, you did not really have that between DJ and Brock Glenn, Luke Kromenhoek. But I would like to see where Brock Glenn just continues to rise and get better and improve, because it was just pretty sad last year. You couldn't really develop anybody in the quarterback room with how horrid that offensive line was.